Hello fellow Helldivers, Thorn here, out mountain biking in Moab, Utah at Slick Rock. It is very high elevation. That being said, we're going to be talking about helmet passive HUDs, also some new stuff coming in with possibly 5-man teams, and what Arrowhead said made it to the game and what did not. We're going to go over all of that. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic.
So fellow Helldivers, we've got some stuff to talk about today. The first thing is we got a brand new major order, which involves Oshani, where we got to liberate Arata and also Istenu, and hold Hellmire when the order expires, because like I said in yesterday's video, it's always Hellmire. That being said, there was some interesting dialogue in the major order put out by Helldivers on Twitter, saying, following weeks of preparation, Seek forces stand at the brink of liberating the terminated hive world Oshani. I probably always mispronounce that, but it's the one with all the, hive lords and cave systems. However, terminated assaults on Hellmire, the location of the Gloomblazed Alpha, have been relentless, so that's why we gotta hold them. What's interesting is the mention of Seef. I do wonder, because Dripku did let us know that they had just updated the Seef stratagem in the game, and you can see it in the gameplay on the screen right here. If that means that if this has anything to do with us actually being able to throw in our own Seef troopers to go ahead and bring them on these planets where there aren't always going to be mega cities and so on and so forth. I think that would actually be great, and it probably has something to do with it. That being said, a lot of people were upset yesterday about the fact that there was nothing about an update coming to the game, and they made their voices and vocal frustrations very clear. And Baskinator said on Discord, "I'm sorry, we know some of you were expecting a patch today, but we're still cooking. We'll update more tomorrow." So the first thing is, I found it very funny because someone did point out on Reddit that the last time they did a blog post, it said, now it's time to double down on fixes, polish, and better communication, which, I mean, if you only do one message on Discord and there's nothing on the official Twitter or on any of their other official pages, it's very easy to get buried and the communication isn't there. That's why players are kind of upset. They need to know what's going on. That being said, just breaking down that Discord message, they said they are still cooking, so it's likely not an update that we're going to see today. It's more going to be another blog post. So that mid-October probably ends up getting pushed to late October, possibly even November at this point. The communication, like I said, has been a little hit and miss right now. But that being said, with another fix and update coming, today we're going to dive deep into some stuff that the developers themselves have said they're working on, but now is kind of up in the air if we're ever going to actually be able to see it. But before we do that, there was actually a dev stream the other day for the game, and there was an interesting image actually pulled from it, and you can see the warp gate from the Illuminate actually there in the background. This does seem to imply that the Illuminate are going to be getting an upgrade pretty soon, and Arrowhead might have been teasing it just a little bit. We know from data mine files that the warp gate is going to be a big function of them, and it's probably going to bring in brand new enemy types. But we're going to go ahead and talk about the, cut content and what might actually potentially come back. And let's start with what could have been the biggest game changer, and that is 5-player squads. More teamwork, right? More firepower and more accidental friendly fire. I could only imagine 5 portable hell bombs all going off. That would have actually been pretty fun. Well, it turns out the devs thought it sounded a little too great. They said, with 5 players, the entire tactical balance of the game fell apart. Imagine having a full squad where one guy's only job is to constantly spam orbital strikes while the rest of the team dodges for dear life. Even worse, 5 players meant every stratagem could be covered, removing all those tough do we bring ammo or airstrike decisions. Basically, it turned Helldivers into a walking arsenal of democracy, and let's be honest, way too overpowered. So Arrowhead decided to scrap it, but could it return? Maybe as a special mode, Super Earth's Most Wanted, where we get a 5th squad mate, but he's a complete liability. I'd honestly play that. And the other interesting one they talked about is, well, low gravity planets. Imagine bouncing around like a majestic space marine dodging incoming fire like some kind of intergalactic ballerina, or, well, Master Chief. It sounds amazing until you realize how quickly it would turn into a total disaster. They said, first, jetpacks would have to be completely reworked. Second, enemy AI would have to learn how to fight in floaty chaos. And third, let's be real, every single Helldiver, including you, would immediately try to launch themselves into orbit just to see what happens. We already do that anyways. It's not a question of if, it's a question of how high can I go before the game engine gives up. So yeah, low gravity battles got the boot, but if the devs ever decide to bring it back, I fully expect a Lost in Space achievement for every Helldiver that manages to eject themselves into the void, and maybe even do some falling emotes. Now, the most interesting one I found is something that actually might not be scrapped at all, just reworked completely different. They did talk about helmets. Originally, helmets were supposed to have actual gameplay effects. Maybe some gave extra armor, some help you see better, and my personal request, one that makes you immune to friendly fire. Please stop killing me in the game. For all those oops, wrong button moments. But it turns out that adding helmet perks would have meant even more balancing problems. Plus, the devs had to actually finish the game at some point. Sony wanted to see something. So instead of being tactical advantages, helmets are just, well, right now, fashion statements. Will this feature ever return though? Maybe, but until then, you just gotta pretend your helmet makes you better at the game. It's all about confidence, just ask Master Chief like I said earlier. That being said, we do know that there are armor stuff actually being worked on in the files for customization and also recolors and more. I did get the recent weapon customization in the game, which has been fantastic, and the devs have talked a little bit about armor passives and swapping them around. About 6 months ago, Johan was asking Pedal set for color customization for armor in Helldivers 2. He said, we are looking into it. But again, that was 6 months ago. Well, it did pop up the other day about new armor passives. That Kid King said, I like the new enemies. I'm hoping one day we can change armor passive. I'm not sure when, but I'm really hoping for new stratagems. And then Johan did confirm, I saw a design of it floating around. We will do something with it. And well, there's a lot of stuff in the files about armor customization, and I imagine it's right around the corner for a couple of reasons. There are a ton of stuff in here that show recolors and different shaders that were actually found in the game themselves. If you enable mods, you can actually go ahead and put them on, but they are in the game files themselves. You can see a couple of the images here, and it's not just the helmets, the body armors also come with it. And this is a lot of work for a dev team to do if they don't plan on implementing it. And there's some really cool color combos. And Iron Sights let us know something pretty interesting. Now, some of you might have seen this Human Remains backpack. This is a 3D model that was actually done by Iron Sights of what it will look like. And there's actually one in game right here that he was able to show where it's on the ground. It's, as you can see, backpack size. It'll be put on our back. And you might be thinking, did you just say Human Remains? And that is 100% correct. As Iron Sights let us know that the backpack is going to be used in 2 automaton objectives, Chemical and Remain. He said it probably started as the Chem objective and the more recent iteration is the Remains objective. You are instructed to go and collect human remains from a processor, bringing it with you to a specific location. It's likely the human paste created by the automatons, and we're trying to find out what they're turning people into, and I'm pretty excited to see where that storyline goes. Iron Sights did let us know something pretty interesting with this screenshot, and well, it's pretty cinematic, so I felt it fit the theme of a movie. And according to him, he can't give too much info on this one yet. It's not a full leak, but it has something to do with the Illuminate obelisk, and it does look pretty scenic, so I'll go ahead and play the clip right here, and you guys can go ahead and theorize what it might be. There are some recent strings actually shown to us by Iron Sights, which does let us know that the Illuminates are getting a lot of really interesting stuff. There's a lot of stuff listed here, such as Quantum Staff, Quantum Rift, Illuminate Stargate Nexus, Illuminate Antimatter Generator, Illuminate Stronghold, Blacker Mesa, Illuminate Research Facility, Illuminate Mindbreaking, Void Lightning, and Warp Gate. And there's some key ones there that we're going to break down a bit. But the first one we're going to go over was the Antimatter Generator, because obviously the Illuminate looked at nuclear energy and said, that's cute. These structures appear basically in leaked mission strings, which is what most of those are, and could serve either as a critical defensive objective, a core facility powering entire Illuminate colonies, or maybe a terrifying doomsday weapon that make hell bombs look like a flashlight. But maybe they're not portable, so we still got that in our arsenal. So basically, imagine showing up to a mission and the objective is disable the antimatter core before the universe folds in half. Yeah, no pressure. The funniest part, the Illuminate probably don't even use it for war. It's probably just to charge their hover chairs and Wi-Fi. Now, the more interesting one is the Illuminate Stronghold, which is a term found in mission data suggesting an entirely new enemy-based structure. If you haven't noticed already, which you'd have to be pretty, oblivious to not, the automatons have fortresses and terminates have hives. The Illuminate right now just have those like 3 ships that you find randomly on missions. You blow them up. They're not that really difficult. They're encampments or whatever. In other string files, it does show that they are clearly going to be getting an upgrade. There is a medium Illuminate encampment, a light one, a heavy combat, a clear Illuminate Stronghold, which I don't think we've seen yet in game. In fact, there was some stuff I showed in a video yesterday from early models that were found in the files that does indicate that they are getting much bigger upgrades to this. I hope we get to see some cool stuff like maybe gravity-defying architecture, floating crystal defenses, rooms that rotate like a Rubik's Cube on LSD. Now, there was something interesting also there, the Illuminate Mind-Breaking, and no, it's not going to be a new PvP emote in your next war bond. It's possibly a psionic weapon or status effect described in the strings, and it's actually been shown by Iron Sights before that there are ways that the Illuminate or certain units will be able to invert our controls like they did in the first game, and other types of things where they might actually make us hallucinate. I believe there was a bug string file where a Terminate was actually going to be able to make us, hallucinate, which I can only imagine the friendly fire in this game getting 1,000 times worse when this does release. Now, this is all alongside all the other Illuminate enemies we've seen. We've seen this unknown Illuminate beam, and I'll show it right here. This is posted by Iron Sights. but it's going to go ahead and give us a hint at what some of their weaponry is. But let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Let me know down below, guys, what do you think about helmets actually getting HUDs and then passive stats and so much more? And also, don't forget to check out this right here, which is my outdoor channel where I cover stuff on the outdoors and all the adventures I do. And until next time, everyone, thanks for stopping by. Keep spreading managed democracy.